What a weekend of Championship football that was. So many shock results, so many surprises, so much to get into in this video. We've got 5 things that we learned from the Championship in game week 6. If you're a Championship fan, then do hit subscribe on this channel. If you support any team in the Championship, we do talk about your teams pretty much every single day. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it only takes 1 second. It'll be very greatly appreciated. If you're a fan of the Championship, this is the place to be. And drop a like as well if you do go on to enjoy the video, and let's jump straight into it. But honestly, I want to talk about the first thing that we learned in the Championship. I mean, I've spoken about it in numerous weeks, but I just wanted to talk about the table right now and how ridiculous it is right now. Of course, Middlesbrough, after their win against West Brom, have got themselves a comfy little lead, which is crazy, to be 4 points ahead with only 6 games played is some serious achievement, some serious going that Middlesbrough are going at. But just look here, you've got Stoke now sat in second place. Of course, they were second going into the weekend. And then you've got all the way down to 9th place QPR, who are on 10 points. There's 2 points separating 2nd and 9th, just 6 games into the season. And then you've got teams at the bottom, and now you've got teams picking up points at the bottom of the table as well. I mean, specifically Sheffield Wednesday, which we'll get into a bit later, and Oxford as well. The league is just so balanced this season, and it's so wide open. It's absolutely crazy. As I say, to have this kind of little points difference, of course, it's quite regular in the Championship with these early games to have a lot of teams grouped together. But you go from 8 points. You sat in 13th, or Wrexham, to be honest. They sat on 7 points. They're only 5 points off second, and people were talking about, and I was talking about Wrexham potentially, having an absolute shocker. And then 1 game later, they're right up there. It just proves how quick things can change in the Championship. And when you talk about things changing, I want to get into this one a little bit. The QPR result as well, being sat on the same amount of points as Coventry, is absolutely wild given the situation a few weeks ago. But I want to start off by talking about the relegated teams from the Premier, because yet again, things didn't go their way. And it seems to be a recurring theme at the moment in the opening 6 games, where these teams that are meant to be walking the division have got so much better teams on paper. It's not happening. On the pitch, the performances, and they don't look any better than these teams that they're facing right now. You had Leicester City up against Coventry, of course. The derby game. It was interesting. Some Leicester fans don't really like to call it a derby, but it gets hyped up quite a bit as a derby, especially by Sky Sports. And a 0-0 draw in the match. It wasn't exactly the most entertaining game. The most entertaining thing was probably the Leicester City tifo, and that looked like it could be a Coventry City tifo. That's probably the most exciting thing about the game. But good point for Coventry, you have to say. And it was a difficult game. For Leicester, of course, they would have wanted to win that being at home. But it's a difficult game against Coventry. Of course, we expect Coventry to be up there. Who, by the way, Coventry, after winning the match 7-1 in the league, they actually haven't won a match since. Of course, I'd say that's a good point against Leicester, obviously going away. That's a difficult game. The other 2 draws are disappointing from a Coventry City perspective, especially that Norwich one, I think, with obviously dominating the game the way that, of course, they scored a goal at the end. But, they created a lot of chances in that game. But 3 draws in a row for them, which obviously Coventry, as I say, were getting spoken about a lot, and then 3 draws in a row after the 7-1. Of course, still doing decent, but, they would have hoped for at least a better result in there. Maybe 5 points from the 3 games would have looked a lot better than 3 points from the last 3 games. But then you look at it as well, we'll get into the Ipswich one in a second, but Southampton, oh my word, what on earth is going on at Southampton? Serious questions now are getting asked at Will Still and getting targeted towards Will Still, and probably rightfully so. Obviously, he's coming in, there's been a lot of kind of change at Southampton. Obviously, a lot of players have gone. You look at the likes of Fernandes, Tyler Dibble, some big departures at Southampton. They've got some big fees, but they've also spent a hefty amount of money to bring in and kind of replace these players as well. And a lot of people, obviously, myself included, predict Southampton to be right up there, which obviously still it's very early days. But Will Still's not really giving off too good energy to the Southampton fans. I'm not going to lie, I think they've really taken to him too well, with especially performance. Of course, performance is the main driving factor in that, but his whole attitude as well. The way that he's kind of acting in press conferences, the way that he's talking. Will Still has surprised me, to be honest. Obviously, I've seen him and know a little bit about him from France, and he had a really good reputation over there. Going into English football, he has had a baptism of fire in this Southampton job, and it definitely hasn't gone to plan at all. And Hull City ran out completely deserved winners in that match. Southampton getting a late goal with Adam Armstrong. Really nice, well-taken goal, to be fair to Adam Armstrong. Obviously, for him, hopefully that's something that he can work on from there, hopefully improve. And, as I say, he's had a difficult time at Southampton recently. But then, you can't take anything away from Hull City. They were absolutely fantastic. Ollie McBurney, what a player, what a signing this guy's been. His contributions, what's he on now? 4 goals so far, 3 assists, 7 goal contributions in 7 games. This guy's an absolute joke. One of the goals was fantastic. It was a proper Sheffield. It was a goal made at Sheffield United. It was Ollie McBurney to John Lundstrom, who was making that forward running for midfield, which we've seen so often in his career. And really nice goal from Lundstrom there. Obviously, McBurney getting the assist. McBurney getting himself a goal. So he's such a handful and such a nuisance. He's genuinely a contender right now for one of the signings of the season. Because for Hull, obviously, a lot of people predicted them to be down there at the start of the season. But some of the business that they got done for, obviously, they've had that embargo. It was well documented. Some of the players they've brought in have been really good signings. They've hit the ground running. The likes of McBurney. Obviously, Lundstrom getting himself a goal as well there. And Hull City haven't made a bad start to the season. 10 goals scored so far. Obviously, defensively, it hasn't been great. They had that run of games, which I spoke about before, where they were conceding a few too many goals. But overall, a really good performance. And I think Hull City are definitely surprising quite a few people. And Southampton are surprising people for the wrong reasons, because they got completely outplayed by Hull City. And I don't think there's been a real game where you can call with Southampton, where, I mean, obviously in the league I'm talking about here, where they've actually been the better side. Like, I really don't think there's a game, because obviously they won the game against Wrexham, their one win, which was just 2 goals in the 90th minute. And then you've got this controversy with Ipswich versus Blackburn. I mean, what on earth? Obviously the game, I mean, I can't even pull it up now because the game's just been completely vanished, because it technically hasn't counted right now. Obviously the game got rained off. If you've not seen the clips, I mean, it was completely unplayable. God knows how the second half went on for that long, because Blackburn took the lead. They also, Ipswich also got a red card from Jacob Greaves. By the way, Jacob Greaves has been so poor since signing for Ipswich. Obviously, he was fantastic at Hull. He hasn't really worked out at all at Ipswich, and Ipswich fans aren't happy with him, and probably rightfully so. But from a Blackburn perspective, it's so frustrating, to be 1-0 up. They were cruising in the game, to be honest. I think Ipswich literally created nothing throughout the match. 10 men as well. You'd have to say Blackburn were going to go on and win that. But I think the rules state that the game looks to be, this could probably have to be a replay played at a later date, which is an absolute disaster from a Blackburn perspective, because it was going to be played 11v11. I think Blackburn have obviously submitted something forward to try and have the game replayed for the last 10 minutes with the red cup. It's just, there's no way that's going to happen, because they're not going to make the Ipswich fans travel to Blackburn, for a 10-minute match. Let's be real. So it's just an absolute disaster situation. I mean, you can argue, a championship pitch and a professional team like Blackburn, who are formerly in the Premier League, should probably have, they should probably be able to deal with a situation like this in terms of the rain. I think there's a river nearby as well. I don't exactly know the ins and outs, but maybe you can argue that the stadium should be able to handle this kind of weather. But obviously the rain was absolutely torrential. It was an absolute shambles. And at the end of the day, it looked like the match is going to be replayed, which is heartbreak for Blackburn, who put in a really good performance. Looked like they were going to go and get the 3 points. Ipswich, lucky Ipswich, if they end up getting this match replay, because who knows? You feel like Ipswich will probably go do them in the replay fixture, and you can just see the absolute uproar. You could just see it happening. But as I say, it doesn't take away the point that the relegated teams in the Premier League last season are just quite simply not having it their own way in the slightest. And to be honest, it's great to see as a neutral. I'm a QPR fan. I mean, as like a fan of the Championship in general, you want the league to be open. You want to have shocks. You want it to be close. And that is absolutely what we're getting so far in the season. And we know the saying's true in the Championship that anything can happen, anyone can beat anyone. But this season it feels even more true than what it does in previous seasons, just because these clubs that got relegated from the Premier League aren't performing anywhere near the level we expected them to. Let's be real. Right, I wanted to talk about, of course, I've got to talk about QPR. I mean, obviously, if you follow me on TikTok, I got absolutely. I still get pelted to this day that we lost the match 7-1. Like, I know, I get it, we lost 7-1. It's embarrassing. But I honestly think, looking back at it now, the 7-1 defeat might have been the best thing that's happened to us. It was a kick up the bum that we absolutely needed, in terms of, we brought in a couple of players after that. The manager put his foot down more, changing the system, changing the way that we play as well. I think it really has been a driving factor in these next 3 results. We had to bounce back, and as I say, the signings that we've made since then, a couple of signings that have obviously strengthened the team massively. And as I say, it's given the players that kind of kick that they needed, because even before that game against Coventry, we were terrible. We weren't performing well at all. We looked like, I thought we were destined for relegation. But the corner that we've turned from here has been unbelievable. Performances have just got better. Like Charlton, we kind of rode our luck a little bit. Wrexham was a lot more convincing in terms of, we went 2-0 up and we were convincing at that point. And then Stoke was obviously, going into it, obviously still are, second in the table. So it was a game where obviously Stoke have performed really well this season. Obviously, there was a little bit of controversy in this game. I mean, undoubtedly, Mbenge should have got sent off. That was before the goals were. And Mbenge should have got a red card. There was no doubt about it. It looked like a red card in real time, and it was definitely a red card in the replay. So Stoke have been hard done by in that sense. So of course, it happens in the Championship. There is poor refereeing decisions. You've just got to hope that decisions balance themselves out over the course of the season. Because did Mbenge even get booked for that? I think he might have got booked for something else. I don't even know, to be honest. He might have got booked for. I don't even know. But it was a definite red card either way. But even in the game, I think it was a very close game. I think we slightly edged the match. I mean, Stoke had a lot of the ball. We let Stoke have the ball. And Stoke really should have scored. They had an absolute golden opportunity with Millie Man just before he got substituted off. Unbelievable ball by Sorba Thomas. Sorba Thomas had a spell of like probably 15-20 minutes where he was really getting the better of Jimmy Dunn, but for the rest of the game, we kept Sorba Thomas relatively quiet, put in a really good ball. Manhoef at the back post absolutely has to take that. Then we had a few chances. Burrell had an unbelievable chance at 0-0 as well to put us 1-0 up at the time, who definitely should have taken that chance. Great ball across from Richard Kone. But then a great goal from Harvey Vale where it kind of ricochets off a Stoke defender, falls to Harvey Vale, puts it in the top corner, and an unbelievable finish to now go from an absolute disaster situation where people were even calling for the manager, I don't know, a few people were, with real pressure under Julian Stefan, to bounce back and get 3 wins in a row, to now be sat 2 points off second, and sat level on points with, who would have thought that 3 weeks ago after that result, to be sat level on points with Coventry after they smashed us 7-1. It just proves the Championship is just a crazy league. Sheffield Wednesday up next. I mean, we are cursed against Sheffield Wednesday. We can never get a result, but I mean, on paper, you should really be getting a result against Wednesday, and you think, things are looking pretty decent for QPR right now. I'm still worried about us defensively, but I think going forward, we've been fantastic recently. It's been really exciting to watch. And it was a really good game of football against Stoke. I think like an entertaining watch probably for the neutral that was. A lot of chances. And I think we just about edged the game. Of course, we rode our luck with the red card as well. But overall, really happy with that. And as for Stoke, second loss of the season, I mean, it's still been a really positive start overall. I think performance-wise, even that game against QPR, I don't think it was a bad performance. It was going to be a difficult game going away to Loftus Road, in my opinion, for Stoke in that game. I did predict Stoke to win, but I think it's nothing to be alarmed of. I think there's some serious quality in that Stoke team. And as I say, I think nothing to worry about. I think it's been a really good start. I mean, it's that second in the table. There's absolutely nothing to worry about from a Stoke perspective. And I want to talk about Sheffield Wednesday. We do kind of just mention a brief second ago. And I mean, this for me is the result of the weekend. It's quite simply is, because any result for Sheffield Wednesday is just, it's unbelievable. And they're still not bottom of the league, because Sheffield United, we'll talk about them in a second. Sheffield United, bottom of the league. Sheffield Wednesday still sat second bottom, but at least they're in touching distance, 4 points in the first 6 games. And it was a great performance against Portsmouth. I mean, Portsmouth, I saw a lot of Portsmouth fans saying that going into it, it's going to be typical Portsmouth. We go and drop points or lose this game. And I mean, I guess it was typical Portsmouth in the end. Unbelievable free kick from Barry Bannon. Maybe the keeper should be... I mean, the keeper kind of stood there and didn't really do anything. But Barry Bannon puts in a free kick. I mean, he's a talisman at Sheffield Wednesday. He's the guy who steps up, and he absolutely did that again. How many times? You can name a million times. Barry Bannon's been the guy for Sheffield Wednesday, and he absolutely still is at the old age of whatever he is, like 36 years old, whatever the hell he is. And a really special moment, a really good moment for George Brown. I mean, without any controversy, yes, because Shaughnessy of Portsmouth, he pulled up. And ended up getting substituted off straight after it. He pulled up, a kind of ball went in behind from Valerie. I mean, I think Shaughnessy was going to get it. It looked like he was going to get it. He pulls up, goes down. At the end of the day, people can have a go at it, but you got to play to the whistle. He's done nothing wrong against the rules. You can argue like your sportsmanship, maybe yes, but at the end of the day, Sheffield Wednesday in the situation that they're in, they can't be hanging around and being all nice and letting teams off and doing it. They can't simply just not in that position. They have 3 points to fight for. They need to be fighting for every point. I don't blame Brown. I mean, it's his first ever league appearance as well. George Brown. I mean, I've never seen him until today. I don't blame him at all for taking that chance, and a great finish by the way as well. And of course, Portsmouth were going to have chances in the match. It was always going to be the case. 25 shots. Wednesday were always going to have not much possession. They were going to be defending, but it was a fantastic and a perfect away performance. And honestly, I think Sheffield Wednesday deserved that result. Sheffield Wednesday is a football club, full stop. Absolutely deserve that moment. So buzzing for them. Hopefully they've got their one win now, and they don't back it up with another win playing against QPR next week. If you could just give us the 3 points, it'll be nice. But real big result for Wednesday, and they're still in touching distance. Obviously, it's still very early days, but absolutely. They're still within the mix, and they've got that kind of heart, they've got that kind of desire. You never know. You absolutely never know. I still don't think it will happen, but you never know. And all the best to Sheffield Wednesday with that. And we'll go across Sheffield to Sheffield United, where honestly, Ruben Sellers will be looking at that result and thinking, he'll be laughing. He'll be like, was I even the problem, mate? Or is it just the team? Is it just Sheffield United? I'm not so sure. Of course, it was first game for Chris Wilder, got a really good reception, but it was largely more of the same from Sheffield United, because they didn't create all too many good chances at all. Charlton were the ones that were creating the best chances in the match, or the better chances in the match. And in the last minute, it was absolutely... I'm pretty sure, I didn't see the clip, I'm pretty sure Nathan Jones did a knee slide as well, which, I mean, If you know me, I actually rate Nathan Jones. The guy's quality. The guy's absolute quality. He's just a great character to have in the Championship. I absolutely love it. And Alafe getting his first goal for Charlton, a real good moment for Charlton, who of course have had kind of a difficult run of late in terms of fixtures. And a big moment for Alafe's first goal in the Championship since signing from Stockport. He's played really rated in League One, comes in off the bench, makes an impact, and right in front of the away end, puts the ball into the back of the net, and a huge win for Charlton. You know, as I say, they have been struggling in recent weeks, but now they're sat in 11th in the table, so maybe they've not been struggling too bad. I mean, they picked up a good draw against Millwall, obviously Millwall scoring late, but before that, a couple of losses, and it's a real big result for Charlton, that, isn't it? It's just a Nathan Jones performance, keeping it solid at the back. We know Charlton, from what we've seen, they're not exactly been the most free-flowing team so far this season, just a 4 goals scored in the 6 matches, but just a 5 goals conceded. They're building it off them solid foundations, off that back 3 there. And as I say, they've been solid overall defensively, Charlton. In that game, they didn't let Sheffield United have all too much. In Sheffield United would have been heavy favourites. I know they picked up 0 points, but you look at it going into obviously Chris Wilder's first game, and you look at the actual quality on show for Sheffield United, you would think Sheffield United should be winning a game like that. But fair play to Charlton. Really did remain solid at the back, and a good performance, really good away performance, and picking up a big 3 points in that match. And also we'll go to another team that also picked up another surprise result in Oxford. I mean, some of the goals in this game were unbelievable. In the Oxford versus Bristol City game, 3-1 to Oxford, and Oxford were deserved winners in the match. I mean, that was definitely Oxford's best performance of the season so far, and it was definitely Bristol City's worst performance of the season so far. They had a couple of chances. Bristol City, Emma Reese had a good chance. Mehmeti scored an unbelievable goal, crossbarring in. Like, what a player Mehmeti is. But I don't know whose goal was better. I mean, Placheta, sorry, is that wrong? His goal was unbelievable as well. Then a late goal to finish things off, and a really good away performance from Oxford, and they needed that as well, because they haven't picked up a win. They haven't picked up a win yet so far this season up until this point. But definitely it feels like they've kind of turned a corner with a few decent results there against Coventry, picking up a 2-2. I mean, Leicester, they're up against 10 men, but it's still a point on the board. And unbeaten in 3 games now, 5 points. You know, if you asked an Oxford fan, would you take 5 points out of Coventry, Leicester, and Bristol City, they would have absolutely bitten your arm off. So a real big result for Oxford. Next up, Sheffield United. Jesus Christ, I mean, that'll be an interesting one next week. But yeah, real good for Oxford. 5 points down in the last 3 games after 3 losses in the first 3 matches. Maybe slightly turned a corner with Gary Rout there, and hopefully for them they can continue that. De Kirchmeier as well. He's been actually pretty decent, to be fair, since signing for Oxford as well. Will Lancashire as well. So real big result for Oxford there. One of the results of the weekend. I mean, that's definitely up there with the Sheffield Wednesday. When I say Sheffield Wednesday is a better result in terms of they were big underdogs given the situation that they're in. I also wanted to talk about as well the situation with Norwich City, because what on earth is going on with Norwich? It just feels like every time they take a step forward where they get a result, it's just another step. It's just a step back, and then honestly, it's very confusing. A lot of boos in the stadium as well when I was watching the highlights for the Wrexham goals that were going in. I mean, it's not going too well, you would say, for Liam Manning. I mean, if Josh Sargent doesn't perform, then this Norwich team, I'm just not so sure on them at all. And defensively, it's like same old problems from last season. Norwich defensively are just an absolute shambles in games. And against Wrexham here, they weren't. I mean, Wrexham, to be fair, going forward this season have been really impressive. I mean, it's a typical Wrexham performance. I mean, whenever Wrexham win a game, it always feels like that, where they get out possession and, at the end of the day, they took the chances this game when they got them. And Josh Windass scored an unbelievable goal for Curlin. What Curlin went into the back of the net. Longman scoring a nice goal as well. Windass getting another goal as well. I mean, for Windass's goal, where the ball came across from Kabora, or was it Cleworth? It was one of them anyway. Whipped the ball in. Windass had the freedom of the box. Like, what on earth was the defending from Norwich? And no one was anywhere to be seen, not even within any distance of Josh Windass. And it's just a simple, I mean, it's a difficult finish, but I mean, you should be putting that away all day long, which you did. And a real big result for Wrexham, who, to be fair, a lot's been made of Wrexham, but they're still sat, 15th, 7 points. They're not a million miles out of any playoff picture or anything like that at the moment. So it's not actually been a that bad start. Maybe people have overreacted, myself included, because it doesn't look so bad. But if they lost that game, there'd be so many questions. They'd be in the relegation zone. But a real good win for Wrexham. And as I say, going away to Norwich is not an easy place to go. There's no denying that. So a real good result for Wrexham, and getting the 3 points was much needed for Phil Parkinson as well. Takes that pressure off a little bit for a good period of time for them. Hopefully for them, they can kick on. So let me know with your team and what you think of your team's performance in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new around here. If you're a Championship fan, do hit that subscribe button. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.